Hello everyone, my name is Rajesh Kumar and I'm your DevOps SRE DevSecOps coach. I have close to 18 plus years of experience working in multiple MNCs around the globe and having in-depth knowledge of DevOps, SRE and DevSecOps. So I would like to introduce you one certification program in a DevOps, and that is we call it DevOps Certified Professional. Now this is a 2 months of program, 25 tools of DevOps you will learn, and apart from that you will also get the access to the LMS, lifetime access to the videos portal. It's a certification program, and you will have 25 assignments and 2 projects along with it. It's a completely weekend program, so here you have classes on Saturday and Sunday. So as part of this course, you will learn multiple things. Here you see that you will learn Linux, AWS, Docker, Jira, Confluence, Python, Git with GitHub, SonarQube, Maven, Gradle, Packer, Artifactory, Selenium, JMeter, Ansible, Kubernetes, Helm, Terraform, Jenkins, Datadog, Splunk, and Neuralink. Now, how do we, apply for this? So how can you reach out to us? So you have a WhatsApp number and email ID. So please reach out to us and we'll help you to onboard this program. Apart from this DevOps certified professional programs, we are offering other certifications as well in a DevSecOps, SRE, and one of the very comprehensive programs which we have is in Master in DevOps Engineering. Yeah, so feel free to get in touch with us and then enroll for it. Thank you. What is networking? So first, understand the fundamental problem of AWS. This is AWS
अच्छा
one region. Okay, this is the AWS one region. Now we know that this is divided into two part, minimum two part. It can be maximum unlimited. Minimum two sub zones. Zone one, zone two, zone three, zone four. Minimum has to be two zone. Now the problem is what we are having in AWS one region. In one region, AWS has a millions of customers, not one and two, millions of customers. So the problem is how they can, and millions of customers, they are creating the VM here, 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 like that. But they can talk to each other, right? They can talk to each other because this is under the one region, one zone. They can talk to each other. There's a problem, security problem. So what AWS should do? So each of these customers, they can keep it separate. What they should do? Okay, that's the problem. So that means simple way, if I put it up one question, how this AWS will divide one region into the millions of customer. I mean millions of data center. Are you understanding, all of you?
yes
So that's the problem we need to solve. So what they did, just like in your apartment, look at this small label, correlate in real time. In your apartment, how many flats you must be having? Maybe 200. Let me remind you, you must be having only one internet broadband, maybe Airtel or Geo or something like that. Correct? So they divide one line to hundreds of small network, and each home has a one small network. And then inside your network, home network, you can run multiple computer, mobile, and whatever it is. Inside that, they can talk to each other. From outside, they cannot talk to each other. That's called small network, setting up a network. Are you understanding, all of you?
yes
So that's the same problem what AWS has it. So what they did it. So AWS said, hey, we'll do one thing. You can create a virtual network. One network, two network, 10,000 network, 10 million networks. One person can create as many networks and he can run the VMs inside his network. Here, 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 here. And this network is owned by some customers. So now here in this VM, this can talk to each other, this VM can talk to each other, but this cannot talk to each other because there is a network, virtual network configured. Are you understanding, all of you?
yes
So now the question is, then you will say, Rajesh, I have not created any network, but we created instance, two instance. How come? So you know what has happened? AWS, the moment you log into your free trial account or any account for the say, they will have a one default network. So knowingly, unknowingly, they will have a default network. I don't know how many of you have noticed actually. Let me show you. So that network which is created, making it isolated your server to other server, default network. So now you see here somewhere in the here this place. So when you select here, it will got populated. See the default network. So now the question is, can I create my own network? One for dev team, one for QA team, one for production team, one for pre-production team. Can I create multiple network? So that way, or some instance I will not be, this instance, we should not be having access to this or that or whatever it is. So can we create? Yes. So guys, that service we call it a networking service. Can I go to that? Here it is, networking and content delivery. Out of, we have so many services, but I'm going to use it VPC. BPC. BPC stand for uh, Virtual Private Connect. Now, guys, look at this left side. Hell lot of services you have it. Okay, hell lot of it. Now, networking is a topic which you need to understand. But you know what? You have a one network. This one network I'll divide into multiple network. This called subnet. So lots of things. If you don't know, then you'll have to. This one network. Now, this network you can divide into multiple subnet. So this is the availability zone. Let's say this is availability zone 1 and 2. So here you can create a multiple subnet, one subnet, two subnet, three subnet, four subnet. Okay. So now the machines will go into the subnet. This is a machine, this is a machine, this is a machine, this is a machine. And interesting thing, no matter what it, irrespective of subnet, this can talk to this can talk to this can talk to this can talk to this. No problem, because it's the same network. Subnet is different. Now you will say, Rajesh, what is subnet? What is a what is subnet? What is route tables? What is internet gateway? What is VPN? Here you have a VPN also somewhere here. What is a NAT gateway? Somewhere here you should be having NAT gateway. So these all are the networking concept. Right now I'm not getting into that and explaining you this fundamental of networking, but I'll have an assignment for you. Before getting into this topic, you find out what is a network, what is a sub network, what is a router table, what is an internet gateway, what is a VPN, all these things, fundamental of it. This is not AWS only, it's a generic topic. So those who wants to work with the networking, they need to know all these things work. By the way, in order to create a VPC complete stack, you have to create one VPC, few subnets, route table, internet gateway, and some of the NAT gateways also. Don't worry, creation is very simple, but fundamentally you should understand all this topic very carefully. So here, this subnet what you see, this is one network I created. And how many subnets you have? 1 2 3 4. Now, how do I design this? So what is a subnet? So one large network you divide into the multiple subnet network, small network, that's called subnet. Okay, so your VPC will have a network, will have a CIDR range, global one, and then whatever the CIDR range you have for this, small CIDR will be here also, here also, here also, here also. These all CIDR will be underneath this one only. CIDR, which is the networking range actually. Okay, so now this whenever you see that subnet and VPC, then you see some subnet which is public, and then subnet you will see private. Anyone have idea what is a public subnet and what is a private subnet? Anyone? Any guesses? All of you?
Is it for sharing across the VPC?
Uh,
So private public
no.
subnet.
Okay, I'll put it in this way. Public subnet.
Public
See,
public
yeah,
subnet where you can connect to the internet.
wonderful.
Private subnet you can't connect to the internet.
Yes,
It's
very good,
internal.
very good. Yes. So public means internet. Okay, private means only you can connect from that network VPC, not from outside. So here I'm designing it. Look at my design. So here public subnet, which component? Okay, so if you know the software architecture, basic one, I'm not talking about the microservices, SOA, service oriented architecture. In public subnet, which machine you should host it, all of you? Web server. See, the stake of the application is, first is web server, correct now, and then after that app server, and after that database server, correct now, all of you? This is
Yeah.
the simplest architecture. Okay, I'm not complicating it. Slowly will you will have that realization. Slowly you'll get complicated. So here, because this guy here, this is a guy, so this guy need to access the web server, right? So this web server where you are running that, this one, it should be in public subnet. So this is the web. Now this is a private, so this can be application or database. Simple. This can be web, and can be application. Database, maybe you have RDS, which is exposed, I mean, which you don't have to set it up. Database, which is RDS, I'll show you that one. Hosted one, platform as a service. So now what you'll do, you'll create one load balancer for this. So this and this, you'll create one load balancer, and load balancer can hit this here, and then it will transfer the traffic to here or here, two instance. Now this one, you will create one private load balancer. That's a public one. This is a one more load balancer, and you will manage it. Now from here, if you look at this, from here you will hit to the load balancer, web 2. So this way you have to design, you have to learn all this design, you have to understand the software development process, running process, different model architecture, and then design this. So public subnet, where you have an internet, public subnet, the VM will have internet. Private subnet, the VM will not have internet. So here, this is the public. You will design HA, and here it's a private. Now, then you'll say, Rajesh, I need a private subnet. I mean, I need an internet in VM, which is running the private subnet also. Then what to do? That is where we use a NAT gateway. If someone will ask you, why do we use the NAT gateway? Then you should say, hey, NAT gateway is one of the services of AWS. Using that, we get the internet. Where? In private subnet. From where? Public subnet. I know this is confusing if you don't understand the networking concept, but this is what exactly that is. So you create a VPC, you create a subnet, you create a route all the traffic, you manage through the route table, and then if you need a internet on the private subnet, then you need a NAT gateway also. You need internet gateway for getting the internet to the public subnet. Everything you need it. So what do we do in this case? Simply, I'll go to here, go to the dashboard of VPC, and click on create VPC. Some of the services free, some of the services paid. Okay, here you want to create only VPC or VPC and more. More means subnet, route table, internet gateway, and NAT gateway, all this thing. What is the CIDR for public subnet? I mean VPC. This is the one default. You can change it also. How many IP address you get it? 65,536. That many IP address you can. That means that many VMs you can create in this machine and this VPC. Okay, tenancy default, don't go for the dedicated, very costly. And how many availability zone you want this to be? So here two availability zone, that means you can customize how many public subnet you want to, how many private subnet you want to, and NAT gateway you want it. So I'm just saying none. Why? Because it will take some time, and
What
it's
is
see dollar
what
sign.
is tenancy default?
Tenancy default means, do you need a dedicated wire, I mean dedicated connection, this they'll have a dedicated network for your BPC. So do you want that one? Why? For speed, actually, for the so you're not sharing that your network with other people, like banking and all, they don't want to share the network with other BPC. So that way. Okay, so
Okay.
dedicated will be more costlier, very costlier actually. Here NAT gateway, if you see the dollar sign, that means a paid services. So I'm saying no, because it will take some time to create. BPC and endpoint, I'll okay with it. So yeah, now if you see that, interestingly, you will see that this is a VPC, and if you see that these are the four subnet as per your selection is got created diagram and route tables, which route table is working for which one, which subnet. here it is, and network connection which is coming from the internet gateway or BPC, you see here. So if you see that very carefully, look at it. If I put the internet gateway project hyphen IGW, which is stand for internet gateway, which is getting the route using the route table which is called public and transferring the internet to the public subnet. If you see that public 1 and public 2, but if you see that BPCE, which is transferring that networking internal network, okay, for the private subnet. Now natting I have not used it, but if you enable this one, you say natting, the changes will be in images. So now you see nat has come here. This is the one. So now if you look at it very carefully, nat is transferring the internet to the private subnet. Look at this route table and private subnet. So you have to, fundamentally you have to understand the networking. I'm disabling the nat right now. Done. And now you are okay with that, create a VPC.
Hang on. I have one question here.
Hmm.
In terms of if I'm using internet gateway to the private network, is it applicable
No,
or
you
not?
won't get internet gateway only help you to get the internet in the public subnet. So you'll not get internet.
What about the
And see
routing
that
table as well?
routing table. What is routing table? Route table is nothing but a rules, okay? Networking rules. Just Google it. Take a pointer. Actually, I'll give you assignment on this. Networking rules is equal to route table in AWS. So in the rules you write, hey, the traffic is coming from here. It should go to there. Traffic is should coming from here. It should not go there. Like that, you write a rules actually. That's called routing table. Okay.
Okay.
So here, if you see that, I have created so many resources just with one click. So I knew that what is a BPC, what is a subnet, what is a route table, what is the internet gateway, what is a NAT gateway. I knew that, so I created. Now, fundamentally, you need to know. For example, if I say, Rajay, guys, do you know what is a VM? So you'll say, yes, VM, I know that. So you created it. We call it EC2 instance in AWS. So same way, you should know a little bit of fundamental of what is subnet, what is a route table, what is internet gateway, all this thing. And I'll give you assignments. You'll have to do that work before this and get it done. So now I created it within a one click and then view VPC. Now earlier I had a one VPC default. Now I have a
If you go to the previous slide, there is like connect VPC internet gateway to the VPC. What is that?
internet gateway only will help you to get the internet to the public subnet machines actually.
Hmm.
So here I created internet gateway. See here, this is the VPC which I created by default. Now this was the default earlier. Now if you look at the subnets, you can decide how many subnets you have. Right now 10 out of 4 subnet I created from the another VPC. So you can query also based on this. Here which VPC? Here you can query based on that. Here route tables is a rules actually, and it got created automatically. Internet gateway you got it too. Now earlier this was the default. This is I created, it's a paid service. Now net gateway I have not created it. So now the question is, okay, I created a VPC my own, how do we use it? And I think now you know that. So go to the EC2 instance, and here launch instance. And now this VM which you are creating, let's say I'm just typing anything randomly. I typed it, but it's come. And now you decide what you want, and here go to that section, and here you say it's a default, edit this. And now you say, hey, I don't want in the default, I want in project VPC. Which public subnet you want to create, public subnet or private subnet? You want internet, public subnet. You don't want internet, private subnet. So these are the 4 subnet we created in different availability zone. Look at this here, US East 1B, 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 all this thing, and then you decide and then create. So instead of you creating a VMs on the default VPC, you are creating the VM in the VPC which you created. Mind it, these two VPC means two network. Basically, in simple way, I'll tell you, two VPC means two home, separate home. Simple. And inside this VPC, you can run as many VMs you wanted. So guys, this is the networking which you have to understand that. Now, what I'm going to do, I am going to delete that because some of this is as a paid services. So let me delete this. By the way, anything you should create, you should have a habit of deleting it. I'm not doing in this session, but you should not forget it. Else, you should not blame later point of times. Because of me, you got the billing in your credit card. Okay, so I deleted this VPC and done. Clean. So simple. By the way, VPC will not be deleted if the instance is running. It was not created an instance inside the VPC, so you have deleted it. So now that's a networking services what you have. Now security. So security, many things we have. First thing we have a security groups,
Rajesh,
which I have discussed. Yeah,
Rajesh, what is Route 53?
route
Yeah,
route 53, right?
yeah,
I'll talk about it. So here security. So in security, what we have? In security, we have a security group. Is this security group? Can you please tell me? I forgot that actually. What is security group? All of you.
To allow inbound and outbound traffic.
Network firewall. Please remember, security
Right.
groups works on the network VPC level. Mind it. Okay. So network firewall. That means VPC. Apply on the VPC. It's there on the EC2 instance, but apply on the VPC. Please remember that. Network firewall. So you can allow and disallow whatever the traffic port number you want to block or unblock from where and all. Okay, so
Is the
that is one
security group
security.
is the security group which is implemented on VPC is a stateless or stateful?
See, security group is a firewall. There's no meaning of
Yeah.
stateful and stateless. This question is not in sync, right? Security group is a firewall. Have you? I mean, I'll just talk about this is a firewall. Now, this is the one. How can I say what is stateless and what is stateful? Stateful and stateless is a different concept altogether. Stateful is like where you are having some files which is getting changed, for example database or images. Stateless means nothing is changed, what application is as it is. Okay,
I'll
so
put
come
it
back
as
to
a
this topic.
TCP and UDP protocol.
Okay, TCP and what is that?
UDP.
What is your question then?
So the thing we are putting on the VPC level that will be act as a stateless. Like we can't guarantee that one it is going out or coming out. Whereas stateful is then which you implement on the security group, which will on the Windows level or Linux
No,
level,
no,
which you are keeping that one.
your observation is a little out of context and not related. So remember that these all the one which are mixing two things. Security groups is equal to firewall. Simple. Don't confuse anyone and yourself. Firewall. Now what is a firewall? Here we have two things. Allow, not allow. Okay, that is a something which we have. And but the question is, next thing we'll ask, from where to where? Two things. From where and to where? That is something which you do that. So in that you can put it up all this egress setup. Some of this I showed you in the demo. Now this is different. TCP is a protocol, UDP is a protocol for what? Exchanging the packet over the network. So there are so many other protocol, you know that. HTTP, FTP, what else? FTP I have used, HTTP we have used,
HTTPS,
SSL protocol.
FTTPS, FTP.
SSL protocol, HTTP. I'm not writing in proper way. Please excuse me for it. So these are the protocol for connecting the sending the packet from the one place to another place over the network. So don't get confused here. Both are different things. Here you are blocking the port number. Here you are having the packet how it should be transferred. Make sense? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So now what I was talking about was Huh. So I was talking about the security group, and that you know that. Now, what else you can do that for security? So one of the security is BPC, which you know that. But now the question which I'm talking about right now as part of the security is how to access. No, no, no. Sorry. How to share your AWS account. That I'm talking about. Okay. So actually, whatever the account you create, you're going to create that account. You can share with the 10,000 people. Example, Infosys, Microsoft, Google, or maybe your company. They might have created one account, which is a read account, and then they have given that account access to all the employees, all the departments, and different types of access. Different types of access, different region wide access, VPC wide access, lots of things. You have a pros and cons and stuff like that. But how it works, how do I share my account access to all of you? We have in this session, we have, I think, 10 people, 11 people we have. If I want to share my access with you, how can I share? So simple. In AWS we have one services which is called IAM. Anyone can guess this IAM stand for? It's a generic keyword, actually nothing complicated. Generic keyword which we
Identity
use in
access
the industry.
management.
Identity
Identity
access
and access management. You have identity and access management in your I don't know how many years you've been working, but actually it was there. Identity and access management, it was there in your office also. You got the, we have LDAP, you have used it. You have Active Directory, you have used it. Now we are something similar concept we are using at what? AWS. How do I share it? So in AD concept, identity concept, what we have, that services which is called IAM, they have a policies. Now question is, what is a policy? So this policy for the read, this policy for write, this policy for delete, execute, admin, this, that, and all. And you remember that thousands of services you have on AWS. So each and everything you have a policies. This policy, read, write, execute, delete, whatever the different kind of policies. This policies, what we do, using this policy, you add this policy. Let's say you want to give some X access to Y resources to X level. So you add this policy to the group. Now group, what is a group? So group is basically the group of people. So this is one people, two people, three people, these all are people, and you add into the group. And then the whatever the policy you added, that user will have access to your account, root account, and whatever the access you will assign, you will have access to that. So policy remember, group you remember, and user you remember. That means I need to create one user, one group, add this user into the group, and group I need to add some access, that's called policy in AWS. That's all. Three things we have to do that. But guys, there is one more thing which we have, which is called roles. So what is a role? So a role, basically, let's say this is S3, which is a storage services, and this is the this is EC2 instance. So this is one resources, and there's another resources. So do you think the access between S3 and EC2 by default, if it is belong to one account, do you get a default access? No. That is the beauty about the security. So one resources will not be accessible to another resources, even though if we are coming from the same account. Then you'll say, Rajesh, how can I access this S3 from this VM? How can I allow this access to S3 from this VM? One resources to another resources. How can I do that? I'm not involved here. AWS resources 1 to second one. That is where you have to use role. So what do you have to do? You have to create a role, add this policy, whatever the access you want to give it to the role, give it, and then add this role to the VMs. And now this VMs will have access to that resources. Okay. Now where we can assign these roles? I don't know, but once you do the demo a little bit, you'll see that. But let me remind you, EC2, create one, launch, and here where is the role, guys? Can you locate it? Advanced. I'm just checking. I could not find out, so I have to search for it. I'm not going to read it line by line. Where is that?
A role comes under I'm user, isn't it?
No, that's a different thing. Assignment I'm talking about. So should be somewhere here, and that is so many things we have. Somewhere it should be here, but where exactly? Role assignment. Uh, instance profile is different concept. Okay, I need to check that. It was here, but now I cannot find it. Additional tag. Okay, I'll check this. But that's the role, guys. So here the question is group for user, human, role for services. Now the question is how do we create user group and attach the policy? How do we create a role and attach the policies, and then you attach this to the instance? So let me show you. So now cancel this, go to IAM. Now you can search for this if you remember the services. Here it is. Now first thing, this is the one. Now if you see that I have a user group, one is created. I have one user, no roles, this roles, these roles I created not, but created through this automated services. So here you see EBS has created one role, and using that EC2 instance will get access to this EBS. So these I created through different services. We can create a roles also. So let me first create a user one by one. So and policy, sorry, I forgot to show you the policy. Here it is. So you see that hell lot of policies you have, thousands and thousands of policies. You have it. You can create your own policies also, JSON file and all. So let me create a first user. Let me create a user name with demo, and you can assign, you can read this what you want to give it access for, and then password I'll just want to set it up. So my system is really slow, but I have rebooted multiple times, but it's not working. So I have to spend some time to clean up. Yeah, so this is the password. I did it, and then user must change password. No, next. Now you want to add this one, or you want to attach a permission to the user like a policies? No, I don't want to add permission to user. Why? Because I want to control the permission through group. So I'll just leave it. Next, and create user. Done. Now what I will do, I'll go back to the IAM. Okay, and then here I'll create a group. So one group is created, but for demo I want to create one more group, demo itself. And you want to add a user? Yes, this time this user I want to add it. And now this group you want to attach policy? Yes, these are the policy. You can attach EC2, enter. Here you see EC2 full access and different types of access, read only and write access. All this thing you have it. You can check it out. So EC2 full access, click on this, create a group. So now I created one group, add access to the full EC2 access and demo, username and password. Done. How do I access this? So you are not going to, this is not a user of AWS. I repeat, this is not the user of AWS. So you have to use this URL, which I'm doing in incognito mode. And here username is demo. Okay. So demo, and this is the password. So this is the IAM user. Okay. Not a AWS user. Don't get confused. And this guy has logged in now, and now he has access only to EC2, but I'm clicking on VPC and see if I have access. I did not give a VPC access. So read access maybe is coming. Yeah, read access maybe is coming, but create access, let me try, because I don't know to create VPC. Let me try something else. So for example, S3 access I have not given. And now let me show you the error message. It should show me, and you see that create option is not there bucket. You see these all are disabled, but EC2 access you have it. So now you know what you should do. You should delete immediately because it's a security concern. Delete the user demo and done. So what I did, I created user, created a group, added a user to the group, added permission policies to the group, and then validated the access. Are you having any questions so far, all of you? Hello? Hello? All of you? I'm audible, right?
Yeah, right.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now let me create a role. So here I'm creating a role. Now role for granting access of AWS services or something else you can create. What is the common use cases? EC2. I assigned it here, and if you want to use for other services also, it's okay. But right now EC2, which we discussed. Next, what access you want to give it? So S3 access I want to give it. So search for S3, and here you S3 full access. That means this role I've given access to S3, which can be used for EC2. And then next, done. Role name Rajesh, something like this, and then tag it whatever you want to do, and then create a role. Now this role I have been created. I can check. I should check this. So see here, Rajesh role I created. That means this role can be used to connect the access of S3 in EC2. Okay. Now I could not find that option last time. Not sure why. Let me try now, because it should be there. Okay. So theoretically it should be there, but I'm not using, because all this thing I'm doing through nowadays through code. So UI, it should be there, which I could not find out. Let me try to find out now. Why it's not there? So something change has happened, which even I have no idea. So recent change. So let me do one thing. I will search for how to assign AWS role to EC2 instance. Simple. And let me see if something has come up recently, and this one probably will help me. And it says, hey, okay, so they have okay, there's some changes that happen. So let me check this one. System manager, I need to update myself also. So this is the console, open EC2 instance. Okay, now I got it. So here you, during the creation it's not there right now, but it should be here. Actually I have seen that long back. But go to here, Linux, and go to action, go to security, and here look at this, modify IAM role. So why I'm not able to find it while creating, I'm not sure, but here you can do that. Got it, all of you? Here Rajesh. Okay, so group for human, role for the two services between AWS. Are you comfortable, all of you? All of you?
Yes.
Okay, now let me delete this both instance, otherwise I'll forget it. I don't need any more now, and clean this. Now I should also delete the IAM role. The role is not a security concern, but I have to clean up S3 buckets also, because there's lots of data is being wasted. So that is not a good practice. Rajesh, delete. Rajesh, enter. Now I should delete the group also, because I don't want that group. I should demo. So remember that this guys, I should delete the EFS also, which I created paying for nothing. So delete this. Security, you can add it and delete. Delete security in a protection, you can add it, but right now not required. Okay, so now what are the services I'm going to talk about? So now guys, you have understood all the foundation services, which include compute, storage, and what else? Networking, and then security. Any questions on this? All of you? Hello?
That's fine. We'll refer the recording once and then we'll try to do it.
Yeah.
Get
Now
some question.
I will introduce you some of the services
Uh-huh.
which you might not use it, but you should know. You must know. Now, whether you use it or not depends on your project. So some of the things which I'm going to introduce you is RDS. Some of the things which I'm going to introduce you, DevOps. Some of the things which I'm going to introduce you, Route 53. Some of the things which I'm going to introduce you, load balancer. And one important things which I'm going to talk about, auto scaling group. Okay, so these are the things which I'm going to introduce you. So RDS, remember, this is PaaS services. PaaS means click, create a database, you have everything, and use it. So how do we use it? So click on the RDS, click on it here. Okay, I clicked on it. It's just loading little slow maybe. And here you see database instances. So do I have anything? None. So you can create a database here just like that. While creating a database, you have to select, okay, what is the engine you want? So Aura is supported, PostgreSQL is supported, MySQL is supported, Media is supported, PostgreSQL is supported, Oracle is supported, MS SQL is supported. You go for whatever you like it. So let's say MySQL. Now, whether you want a standard or easy create. Standard create means we'll have a lots of options. Easy create means few options. Remember that ultimate goal is to find out IP address of database, database name, username and password, and port number. That's all. Rest of the things you can, it should be managed by AWS. So here MySQL, and here I selected what is the engine. So the version you select here, I am okay with it. Here you want to tell production, dev, or free tier. Why? They will configure the security as per the selection here. I'm okay with the production as because anyways I'm not going to click on the create. And then here you want to create a cluster or a single instance. Single instance means only one database. You want to create a clusters of database, then this one is good for you. Now what is the identifier for database name here? What is the username? Here you can put the password also here somewhere. Okay, auto generated password. And then here you can select this. You have to be careful guys, mind it. Here by default this option is coming which is called 2 CPU 8 GB RAM, which is costly. Just for learning purpose you should not do that, because by default it's coming. What you should do, you should scroll up little bit up and see that cheaper option. So cheaper option which is you have unfortunately I'm not able to find a cheaper option. 32 GB, my god. I think this is the cheapest option we had at actually. In Mumbai region, if you go for that, okay, okay, I got it. Why I'm not getting this option? Because here I've selected production. If you select for the free tier, then you get the cheaper options also. Okay, so learning purpose. And then here storage technology, how much size and all you want it, input output per second, IOPS we call it. You decide this. 400 GB, that's too much, I mean, for the demo. And then threshold 1000 GB. And some of the connectivity issues, VPC and all you configure here. And then security groups, public access or not access, security group firewall, which I taught you already. Here you decide. And then finally authentication and then monitoring, if you want to enable here you can do that and create. Ultimately once you click on this here, you will get the database created, database name, username, password, IP address, and all stuff like that, which you can use it for applications. to connect with this database. Remember that this database is managed by AWS only. So this you can use it for that. Now guys, DevOps. So can you please tell me someone how many tools and in which flow I'm teaching you? Can you please tell me flow in DevOps quickly? Guys, hello, I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Flow of the DevOps in because everyone have gone through the agenda, which flow I'm teaching you. And in fact, this I talked about in the first day sessions also. Okay, let me remind you guys, you need to participate more. So guys, first thing you have to write a code. Where do you write a code? Editor, correct? After that you write a
Okay.
code, then you store the code. Where? In the Git. After that, writing the code in a Git, you scan the code to check the quality. After that, you build that code. After that, you run the unit testing also. After that, you package the code, and after packaging, you store that code to some artifactory, I mean archive the code. After archive, then you deploy the code, and after that, you run the acceptance testing. And after that, once the code is done, then you do the release. And for all this thing, you need one CI tool. CI tool, correct now? This is the concept. So for Git, I'm teaching you for storing the code, scan, SonarQube, build Maven and Gradle. Unit testing, I'm teaching you JUnit, packaging, var, packer, and all multiple tools. Archiving tool, Artifactory, I'm teaching you. Deployment, Ansible, I'll teach you. Acceptance testing, JMeter and Selenium, I'll teach you. And release process, and here I'm teaching you Jenkins. Are you comfortable in quickest way?
Yes.
But you know what, guys? All these services we have on AWS also, and they call it AWS DevOps. Let me tell you, let me show you. All these things you can do everything online here. How do we do that? Let me show you that here. So go to the developer tools, and here you see, look at this one by one. Cloud9, which is IDE online. That means you can write a code online, debug, troubleshoot, everything you can do that online. Cloud9. Okay. Cloud Shell is like a shell. It's like a putty for you. Putty, you have used it, or I'm not using putty. I'm using this one. M Remote NG on MOBA. But but you have Cloud Shell over there. After that, you want to check the code star. See here. You want to build that code build, you have it. You want to commit git services, code commit we call it. You want to do ansible work, deploy, code deploy. You want to Jenkins like services, code pipeline, you have it. You want to check the code issues and debug and analyze this, X-ray, we have it. You want to automate all this thing, composure, you have it. So here you have all the services, everything, entire DevOps operations you can do at AWS only without coming out of AWS. Then you'll say, Rajesh, then why we are not using all this tool for the training? The problem is requirement is more for the generic tool in the industry than compared to this tool. AWS have released this. Some projects are using it, but depends on the your project to decide whether they want to use the generic common tool, the one which I'm teaching you, or complete AWS. It's up to them. Understood, all of you?
Yes.
So this is a old stack which I'm teaching you. You have it all there here also. Okay. Next thing is Route 53. What is a Route 53? So guys, in a simple way, if I put it up, Route 53, you can go and buy a domain. So domain. Anyone have a domain, personal domain? All of you?
No. No.
Anyone have a domain?
No. Yes. No.
So uh, let me ask you one thing. Can you spend $12 per year for having one of your domain? What do you think?
Yes, sir.
It depends on the trade-off what benefit we'll get. I mean, with
Yeah,
respect to upgrading skill, knowledge,
yeah,
then
yeah.
it should not be a
Yusuf,
problem.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. Yusuf, I
Yeah.
can read your firewall come in two standard types, stateful and stateless. Standard types, stateful firewall check packets individually before deciding whether stateful. Okay, so here this probably this how this they manage the packets. I have no idea, but here the security groups which I said. um I cannot comment on Ushup. To be honest, I need to correlate actually. So here, this might not be applicable, or maybe if applicable, then you have to check this because I have no idea about this. What you are putting in the chat. Okay, so we'll check that offline, and I'll buzz you. Okay, so yeah, coming back to the questions. Yeah, so I was asking one question, which is a DNS route 53. So are you okay paying $12 per year for having your own domain? For example, your name is Sudeep, so Sudeep.com, or Kapil.com, or Prajwal.com, something like that. Are you okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So guys, go ahead with it. Now the question is, how do you buy your domain? So you will buy through Route 53. Let me show you my screen. So here you go to the Route 53, and here you can buy a domain. Now you can buy a domain, depends on the availability, but have your domain. For example, my domain is rajeshkumar.xyz. This domain I bought it from GoDaddy, by the way. Okay, so this is the one domain which is mine. So like that, you can go for you create your own domain also. So here, if you come to here, there's so many services we have. Don't get lost. Primary services is like DNS server. DNS server. That's a concept actually. Route 53 is equal to DNS server. So first thing, you have a domain. That's a starting point. Then you will get started little bit of scratching this world, which is called the world of DNS server. So where do you get a domain registered? So here you have a registered domain. I'll show you. So here you can. Where is that options? Register domain. I click on it. Yeah, here. Click on the register domain, and Sudeep, I'm searching a domain for you. So Sudeep, and
Okay.
$13. Okay, it's a per year. Mind it. So
Okay.
Sudeep.com is not available, but mysudeep.com is available, or yoyosudeep.com, of course, will be available. Sudeep Yoyo, and check.
Yeah.
So you can buy this domain. Make sense?
Yes.
Now $13 per year. Mind it. So search one domain and buy it. And I would suggest, I would insist you to get it, because the moment people, no matter how much learning you will have it over the DNS server, you will forget it, because there's so much of terminology which is not regular one. But the moment you buy the domain, you will understand that okay, domain is managed at DNS server, and DNS server we have a multiple records such as a record, ns, cname, mx, and hell lot of records, and using that you can manage the entire traffic actually. So for example, let me put it in this way. Let me put in this way. I'll show you the exact flow. Okay, this is you, and this is your laptop. And now Sudeep, you will hit sudeep.com. The moment you go to sudeep.com, sudeep.com is registered at Route 53 of AWS. Sudeep.com. So sudeep.com, it will come to this sudeep.com here. Now from here, it will take the traffic to the DNS server. DNS server. Now this DNS server you can create here, hosted zone. Automatically, the moment you buy one domain, automatically one hosted zone will be created. So one hosted zone you create it here. After that, in hosted zone, you write a record. A record basically is the IP address of your load balancer. Load balancer is the
forwarding the traffic to the multiple web server, one of which, and web server transfer that to internal load balancer. Internal load balancer transfer the traffic to the your backend services, which is hosted in the applications, 1 BM, 2 BM, 3 BM, and then RDS, which is a database. So this is something like this. So what you did, you bought one domain here, and then you got little bit clarity here, and a record you modified, and probably load balancer you don't need it right now just for the learning. You directly hit to one IP address, public IP address, and then here you can have inside that only you can have web, app, and database, and just try to learn and then visualize the changes. Understood now, all of you? Hello?
Yes.
So buy one domain, I would must insist you, because that's where lots of learning will get started. Okay.
So
So
in project perspective, means if someone is asking, means only one domain name we are going to give, or they will change after some days like this. So how
uh,
in project perspectives?
so project purpose perspective, only one domain is okay. For example, have you seen the multiple amazon.com? No, one
No, no.
amazon.com is sufficient. They have a domain, subdomain, and all this hell lot of things we have it actually. So that's what I'm saying. The moment you buy the domain, you are opening up the door to learn the DNS server. If even though if I talk about a record, ns record, mx record, cname, text record, and all this thing will not make any sense to you because you've never seen that in life. Same thing had happened with me also. Okay, so
Okay.
I started my first domain 18 years 19 years before actually, when I was in college, with a good idea, because they provide little cheaper actually. You have some offer coupons and all, but I would suggest you first year you go for the AWS, and after spending all this experience with AWS, after that you migrate to the cheaper services, that you can do that domain, you can transfer it. Okay, from, for
O-
example, mobile you can port it to the Vodafone to Airtel, Airtel to Vodafone. Same way, domain you can port it from one provider to another provider. That's not a problem.
Okay, got it.
So is this
Okay.
also available in Azure? This domain
Yes.
creation? Okay.
Everything whatever I taught you applicable for Azure and Google Cloud and private cloud also.
Okay.
Okay, so like that. Okay, so that is a route 53 domain, DNS server and all will be hosted. Now load balancer, how do we create a load balancer? So guys, here simple way, there is a three types of load balancer on AWS we have. One is a classic, one is a network, one is application, and one is a gateway. In fact, four types. Where do we see that? So let me show you here. Go to the EC2, and under the EC2 you have, go to this place here, load balancer, click on this and create a load balancer. Mind it, this is a paid services. Okay, so this is the application load balancer, ALB, NLB, gateway, and then somewhere here classic is deprecated. So what happened, classic only they converted into the application and network now. So network level, application level, and gateway level. So these are the three traffic. Now if you look at this, ALB will manage the load balancer, the HTTP and HTTPS, NLB, TCP, UDP, and TLS, and gateway level as a different concept altogether. We have to create a gateway before that, on that. So you can create a load balancer just like, it's a paid services. So right now I'm not doing it. So you create a load balancer here, and then add an instance which will be load balanced. So here that will be added. Now when you hit the load balancer endpoint, it will transfer the traffic to here or here or here, like that it will be done. So that's called load balancer concept. So you can try it out again. If you have office accounts and all, it's good to try. That will be cheaper for you. Now next option which we have is ASG. What is ASG? So ASG we call it auto scaling group. So where is the ASG? First let me show you. So in the EC2 instance only, if you go here and you see auto scaling group and launch configuration, here it is. So what is the concept of ASG? So ASG, what you say, you create a ASG. This is the one, basically one rule, and here you say, hey, I want to create uh, this VM, this configuration VM, and minimum number of VMs should be 2 and maximum should be 10, and starting with 3. So you created this VM configuration of VM. You start with minimum 2, current 3, or maximum 10. Now, then after that is this setup, you will say, hey, if CPU of overall this VM, let's say you created 3, so 1, 2, and 3 VM got created. Average CPU utilization is, let's say, if more than 70%, then add one more and add up to the 10th. So what is you are trying to do using ASG? You are saying, hey, we create a VM, minimum and maximum range you set it up, and you set up the rules also. If the CPU utilization is more than X% or something like that, then keep adding. If CPU utilization is lesser, then keep removing also. So here you can create a auto scaling group. Okay, here create auto scaling group, and here you name launch template next. I'm just launch template, I don't have it, so I have to create it. Launch template means which VM configuration you want it. So this is the launch template. I'm just blindly going for these all the easy to instance things, and after that you select that rules. After that next button you select the rules like this. Okay, so this is the auto scaling group. You can also play around with it and get going. So this is the stuff. Some of the stuff also I'm going to talk about, which is called SES, SQS, SNS, and stuff like that. So let me put it in this way. Guys, have you used ActiveMQ? All of you? What is this Q server? All of you? So Q server is equal to SQS. It's a platform as a service. So if you don't want to configure your own Q server as a developer, then you can use SQS. Do you want to send a mass email? You might be getting a lots of email actually, right? In the Gmail. So how is being sent? So SES is basically to send a mass email actually, mass email. Now SNS is for sending an email, but only for subscriber. For example, uh, you subscribe on YouTube, right? So you get an email notification saying that, hey, this is a new videos or something like that. So here you get an email or different types of notifications are there. SMS also, WhatsApp message also, many things are there actually. So if you subscribe for that, only you get a message. If you can unsubscribe it if you don't want the message. So if you are a programmer and if you're using the services like that, so then don't have to set up a complicated servers and all. Just click install. With the click you get all the services and use in your application, just to save time and stuff like that. Are you understanding, all of you? All of you?
Yeah.
Okay. So any questions so far? Any kind of services which you are looking for on AWS? You have
Uh,
everything.
Yeah,
like
like CloudWatch,
cloud
CloudWatch,
formation.
Lambda,
yes. Yeah.
Lambda.
So Lambda. So CloudWatch. What is a CloudWatch? So guys, if you look at your agenda, I'm teaching you few things. I'm teaching you Datadog. I'm teaching you in DevOps actually, ELK, and I'm teaching you New Relic also. All this stuff. So these are the tools which is basically for the monitoring, observability purpose. I'll teach you once the session will come. Now the question is, in AWS we have thousands of services. So we need to monitor also in terms of metrics monitoring, logs monitoring logs monitoring and trace monitoring. We have to do that. We need alerts. First of all, we need a matrix. Understand this. From infrastructure, we need a logs also. Then on top of that, we want alerts, and then we want a dashboard also. So all these things you can get it from Datadog also and other tools also, but we want only on AWS. Let's say you stick to that. So what to do? That is where the CloudWatch will help you. CloudWatch will help you to all the matrices of the AWS services, all the logs of the AWS services, alerts and dashboard. How? Let me show you. So CloudWatch, just go for CloudWatch here, and you can explore all the matrices here, which is gathered by AWS itself. So look at this here. This is the matrices. You can explore the matrices. So what matrices? So let's say EC2 instant matrices. So by what? I don't have any instance running right now in that region because I deleted, but you can access this still here. See, these are the CPU utilization matrices. Add to the search. On this will be added search. So right now it's empty because I deleted it actually. But from last 12 hours, it must be there actually. Let me check. 3 hours. No, I deleted, so it's gone actually. So here you will be having that those matrices. So this you can explore all the matrices here. Now all the logs you have here, if you have enabled this, and all the alarms you can create based on the certain metrics beyond the threshold you can create, and then dashboard here you have. So right now all are empty because I don't have anything. I'm not using the services. So like that. So CloudWatch for the monitoring entire AWS services on AWS. So you can use the CloudWatch. But for monitoring purpose, I'm teaching you different tools at the end of the sessions. Okay, next one is Lambda. Lambda. What is Lambda? So basically, Lambda is nothing but a kind of way to run function. This function can be written in any language in a cloud, in a compute unit shared by many. So remember that your laptop is a compute unit. Whatever application you are running, you are the owner of it. EC2 instance is a compute unit. Any application you are running it, you are owner of it. But what about if one instance is being used to run any number of functions, depends on the different languages, Java, Python, Perl, this, that, and all. Then what do we call it? Lambda. So you pay for only for running those functions. I told you, right? Let's say you want to run 1,000 times in a year. So instead of, just look at the logic here. You want to run 1,000 times in a year. So you have option number one, create a EC2 instance, run this application, and then use it only 1,000 times. But you pay for 1,000 times means 1,000 seconds. But you pay for 365 days in a week, in a year. But there's a strategy. Upload this code to Lambda, okay, Lambda, and then they will give you one input endpoints. Actually, the moment you endpoint, you call this endpoint, you call this, then this program will run that functionality and give you the results. This way you run 1,000 times, 1,000 seconds, and you pay only for 1,000 seconds, not for entire year. So Lambda, how do we do that? So here you have a Lambda services under the compute, Lambda, and here you create a function. You need to have a code. Many functions they have given it to you free of cost. Let me run it because it's not a costly service. You can play around with it as well. So see here, I don't have any Lambda function. So can I create it here? You want to create from scratch, or you want to use some blueprint, or you want to run some container for the they have environment Docker and all. But right now I want to run from the blueprint. So there's so many blueprint you have. It depends on your languages. Okay, blueprint means sample code, simple. Blueprint means sample code. So what you want to learn, just select one right now. That's okay, hello world and all, and call the function name. So I don't know the function name for this, so just name it this one, Raju or something like that. And then all this, select it, this is the code you are going to call it, and create function. That's all. You can write your own code also, by the way. I'm not creating from scratch. I'm using the code which has already been there in the gallery. Create a function. Now the function will give you the one endpoint. You call it, automatically it will run it. That's all it will happen. This is the function. Now function ARN, this is the here function URL has not been created, so wait for it. And then you want to run it, so trigger it manually. Right now I'm manually triggering it. You can add a trigger, depends on the schedule and all. and test it. I'm running it just for the demo, and it just run. And this is the output. This is the output. You can run through the endpoint. So this will run as many times as long as you need it, and you pay for that only compute which you have used it, only for that duration. How much you have used it, you have the details here. So this way you can run all of your code, ad hoc code, using the Lambda to save lots of costs. Make sense, guys, all of you?
If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsSchool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.